Hey, sorry about the crudeness of this here setup, but I was asked by a lot of you guys if I could do a little update on how things are progressing, and things are progressing kind of like what we expected to when you have LM, which is leptomeningeal disease. And then again, remarkably, she has actually, if you can say, survived longer than median, which is good. It's just, which means that you're getting closer and closer to the end, if you can say so. Let's talk about the medications he's on right now. Don't force me to tell you what exactly what's called, because I don't read that kind of language. But let's just say that this is what they call palliative chemo. And what the hell is palliative chemo? Well, palliative chemo is used to symptoms control and not to make better, if it makes sense. The chemotherapy is used now is what is referred to being what we usually use when all other sources have been depleted. And what does that mean? Well, it means exactly what I said. It means that this is do or die. If this, let's just say it as it is, when this medicine doesn't work anymore, as you get, when it doesn't work anymore, the progression is going to be fast. And we're not just talking months here, we're talking weeks here, maybe even, and that is going to happen regardless of what they do now, because it's LM is a killer. It is a fast killer. Usually it takes between 3 to 6 months if you're treated, which she is. So she has a good response, but this is her seventh treatment right now, and I can tell you the changes that's come in her. I mean, she looks very, very tired, and skin is turning a little bit yellow. Her eyes look tired. Her whole persona, if you can say so, is tired. Well, of course it is, man. It's cancer, and you have been or fighting cancer for the last 3 years. There's also cognitive changes, such as empathy. There is absolutely no empathy left. There's only black and white. There's only what you think is right, and if you disagree, they're in hell to pay, right? So it's hard being at home. It's hard being the kids to to their mom here, and it's hard being a husband, because you have to tread very carefully, and like being the shield. I have to be a shield between her and my kids, because I know that she doesn't mean it when she starts yelling at him, and well, she's not really yelling, but she's like she says things that I feel is not good. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. Palliative apparently haven't kicked in yet, really. Well, or maybe they have, and they just don't tell me. I've been having the conversations with palliative. I tell them exactly how I see it, and what I get back in response is, well, I don't know about these things. If it's out of my league, or blah blah blah, all that crap. And I know it's a fucking lie. I mean, palliative have seen this 1,000 times. They know exactly what pattern she's following. She knows. They know, but they don't tell me, because if they tell me, I'll tell her, which I won't, because, well, she's been living so far obliviously. So, but I need to know the signs. I need to know the warnings. I need to know when to kickstart, or when to get in, or when to do whatever. And I mean, right now, as I see it, it's inevitable regardless of what they do. I mean, this is the last chance. If this is going to take a month, or it's going to take 2 months, or it's going to take 3 months, it's inevitable. She will die. She will. She will die. Kids, well, I won't say that they're ready for it. The little one says, oh, he doesn't want to talk about death. He wasn't talking about disease. And he's like, no. Because what happened this weekend is that I lost my mother, their grandma, whom they love dearly. Sorry. And the only thing that the wife could say was more or less, "Aw, now we have no one to look after the cat when we go on vacation." Yeah, that hurts, man. That hurts. Yeah. But I know where it comes from. I know it comes from that she doesn't know better, or she doesn't know how to react, perhaps, or maybe that center in the brain is just totally gone. I mean, she's got worse eyesight. She can't really, well, she hears, but she's not really hearing. And if there's two people talking at the same time, she just gets distracted and she gets angry because she can't focus. It all adds up, man. It all really adds up. Everything that I had learned about this disease here, the LM, and the progression about this thing is aggressive. And by God, it is. My God, it is. Yeah, my mother died this weekend here. She suddenly developed. She'd been coughing for like too long. And she went to a doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, I'll do a blood test, and we'll talk about it in a month or two." yeah. Don't get started. Yeah. And they found that the hemoglobin count was very low, which is, yeah, let's just say I've seen that before. I had really seen that before. So we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, yeah, you have cancer. You got cancer in your throat, and it's metastated to the liver too." And she was like, "Okay, fine. So what do we do?" And I said, "Well, you get zapped by radiation, and it's probably it's probably also going to be chemotherapy for you." And she was like, "Okay, well, let's do that. I mean, I promised my grandsons that I'll be 90. So she was all on board for that. Friday, they had to do a biopsy of that specific throat cancer thing, so they took out a piece, and that started bleeding, and they didn't realize it until she almost bled out. She had a hemoglobin count, or a blood percentage, that said 3.4, which is awfully low, especially when the minimum for women are 7.4. So she was very pale, she was very tired, and she vomited blood up, and she had it coming out of her ass too. And we called 911, and she went all the way in. And I wouldn't say they operated, but again, they did. They stopped the bleeding, and they started to get her out of the ER, and they started getting out of coma. They had an induced coma on her so that she could, stay still with her. Yeah. And we thought, well, okay, so how do we go on here? And we had a little talk about maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And the doctor said, well, we need to we need you to get rested first, so we can, we can assess the situation when you're feeling better and you're, sustaining yourself. By sustaining herself, it means that you can keep a steady pulse, keep just like you and me, right? Yeah. So after a long talk, I sat there for a long time, and I said, well, I gotta go home to my boys, so I'll see you tomorrow. And yes, so I went home, and I almost finished doing dinner. Phone rang, said, you better get here fast. So I called up my, and I said, listen, I called her my, you don't know who that is, but it's my my biological mother. But I called her up. She's actually, well, it doesn't matter. She's family too. It's her daughter. I'm just fucking. I said you better get dressed. So she got dressed. I picked her up. Went to the hospital. We sat there for roughly 3 hours, and that was it. If we even were there for 3 hours. Yeah, it was that fast. So we held her hand, and she said, "Listen, why don't you put on some of that favorite music he's got?" So I took my phone there and I put on Spotify and we put on classical music, and the most beautiful thing was actually that at the very end of her favorite number, she just stopped breathing. It's kind of beautiful. I'm sorry. It went fast. From Friday to Sunday. Yeah. And perhaps that also scared my wife, because she maybe saw herself right there. That is her fate too. But it turned out that my mother had not only cancer in the liver, also cancer in the kidney, also cancer in the spleen. And of all evils, this was probably the best. It doesn't feel like it right now. It sucks, but yeah, it sucks. So back to the status that my wife is in. So that center there of passion and companionship, or whatever you call that, the empathy center, it's not there. It's not there at all. So I got to deal with the sorrow of losing a loved one. I got to do it all over again in a few months, perhaps. You see, the medication that she's on, which you call, I cannot pronounce it. It's one of them last ones, right? It symptom treats, and it's keeping vitals to be steady. And she does not feel pain. She does not feel that much, really. She lives, and she lives. I wouldn't say fine, but she's there. I mean, she's got a steady pulse. Her vital seems okay. The numbers on the blood, well, they're maybe not that great, but it's not really that bad either. But still got that leptomeningeal, the LM disease. And regardless how much they pump into her of chemotherapy or whatnot, that is gonna kill her off. We have, let's just say that okay, the median says 4 months, 4 to 6 months, and we got 6 months already. So every day that we get is a bonus day, or every day that she gets is a bonus day, right? But it's also, I'm sorry to say, it is also very hard to live with as a spouse, or to look at, or even as a kid, to see your mom deteriorate every single day, just a little bit more. It's painful, man. Her stance is gone, not totally, but she feels wobbly. And when she tells me that she's doing fine, I can see that she's hanging on to something so she won't fall over. And she tells me, well, I don't feel pain, yet all the painkillers just seem to disappear. Sometimes when I look at her, she looks like she sits there in a brain fog, just sits there and just stares out of the open land or whatever. Yeah, just sits there like an old, veteran from Vietnam War, just a 1,000-yard glare. Yeah. Happiness causes small dosage. It's hard. Of course it's hard. It's hard being sick and knowing deep down inside that there is actually there's a date for you. I mean, there's a date for us, everybody, right? But you know that this one is getting awfully close. You see a loved one die of cancer that is not even as worse as, not even worse, that's a lot of crap to say, but it's not the same kind. It doesn't seem to be just as aggressive as the one she's having. And just seeing how fast from being okay to die, how little span there is. Of course, the most pain that will ever come is, of course, of the loved ones who are left behind. The dead doesn't feel anything. The kids, especially Gabriel, the big one, he's 9 now. He knows. He feels it too. He feels too that this is getting awfully close. And he looked at Grandma and he said goodbye to Grandma, to her. He came into the hospital and she just lied there and he said, "Wow, she just looks like she's sleeping." Yeah. And he didn't know what to do. And I said, "Well, why don't you imagine that this body here is the phone to Grandma? As long as the body's here, you can talk to Grandma and she will hear it." And so he did. And he told her that she was the greatest grandma in the world. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. So that's the update, guys. Things are progressing. Things are going downhill. You may not be witnessing the downhill as well, you can't really see because it's not really visible, except that you can see that she's getting more tired. She's getting more aggressive. She's getting more cognitively not really there. I mean, as I told you, everything is black and white. I mean, if either that or it's that, or if you don't agree, then the hell to pay. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. All right, I'm going to shut down now, and the next update. Yeah, let's see what that will be.